everybody, welcome back to Death of the Chef, the show where we take culinary monstrosities and turn them into hopeful masterpieces. Today on episode 3, we are analyzing the dish The Foolish Surprise, a drink this time curated by Jonah. This blasphemous concoction contains balsamic vinegar, vanilla extract, black coffee, pepper, maple syrup, lime juice, lemon juice, seltzer, oat milk today, salt, and for some unknown reason, Swiss Miss. So join us as we thoroughly poison ourselves on episode 3. Let's get cooking. Alright, so to begin episode 3, we're going to begin as we always do, and that is constituting the foolish surprise. We're just going to get started because there's no other course of action, and it's Friday, and we're here now. So we're going to start with our base 3 tablespoons of vanilla extract, which I'm just going to approximate because I don't want to bother wasting an actual tablespoon measuring cup on this. Bit more. We'll say that that's 3 tablespoons. Then we're going to take a can of seltzer, not the most egregious action we're going to commit today. And that's just all, oh, that is an unfortunate fizz. But it's all just, doesn't matter if it splashes, this is blasphemous either way. So that's done. Now we're going to take, that is really quite carbonated. Wow, okay, now we're going to take our maple syrup. None of this is specified, by the way, in the actual instructions, so this is really just if you are foolish enough to make this to your own whim. So now we're going to take balsamic vinegar, and that's going into, that's probably so much more than enough. We're just gonna keep going.
Just keep rolling. Yeah, just keep it going.
A squirt-ish of lemon juice. I've run out of commentary. It's like 5 minutes in, and I'm already so disappointed with the fact that we agreed to make a cooking show together.
How many? Why would someone make this? What would you think is the intention of someone making this?
Because he hates his friends.
So
Milk. I don't know. There's no logical basis for any of this. It doesn't cohere. It's just, it's a revolting concept. And I'm sorry, Jonah, if you feel any passion or care towards this, but it's not something I can wholeheartedly endorse. We've got black coffee now following our oat milk. It says be careful in the recipe. I don't know what that means. It's some salt. That's also probably far more than we need, but it's all just a terrible amalgam of things. Some black pepper, that's a lot, I don't care. And then the coup de grace is a packet of Swiss Miss. I don't think there's any commentary needed here. That's just gonna keep going. And then you take your whisk and you just whisk and hope that this isn't the way you died. It's immortalized in an obituary in your local newspaper that you died because your friend was foolish enough to put Swiss Miss, lemon juice, maple syrup, and vanilla extract in something and then suggest you make a cooking show and tell you that you should do this because it would be fun, they said. This is all going to be so fun.
it looks like
It's foamed. How is it foamed? So we're done. It's going to be time to taste it. So let's get to tasting. On episode 1 of Tom's Lament, before trying it, I said, I don't want to. That resonates with me now more than ever, as we're going to pour this and take our first actual taste, because this was never tried in the field before. So we're just going to... Oh, that's a heaping portion. Show that to the camera. And it's just... You gotta commit. You just gotta... Uh, 0 out of 10, would not recommend. To any brave souls who want to try this, it's your turn.
How do you feel?
Not
good.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty bad. It was quite horrible, and I do feel mildly ill.
Shocked,
This is what I mean when I say that I don't like coffee.
Slightly ill, nauseous. I feel like there is no real reason for me to do that.
a little surprised, some could describe it as.
This was better than coffee. This was a better drink than coffee. I would drink this every morning.
You know, it elicited much more of a physical reaction.
I was able to push through, and I did not throw up, which was surprising.
I won't sit here and act like I am not at least a little off my game.
I feel like the name Foolish Surprise is very apt because it looks like chocolate before you get the vinegar, and I think that the name is awful, but at least it lets you know what you're in for.
How did it taste?
How didn't it taste?
Very bad drink.
It tasted bad, but manageable.
Spicy, bitter, repulsive, kind of everything you hate in a food.
I would compare it to like a bastardization, evisceration, laceration, decapitation, etc. of root beer.
It sort of had every flavor and none of the good ones.
The original was definitely less sweet, actually. There was not necessarily, well, not sweet. It was less vanilla.
Don't get me wrong. Far and above the worst thing I've eaten or drank in months. Possibly within the year.
What would drive someone to make this, other than your troubled childhood?
We cannot say for certain at this point in time.
Anger, hate.
Psychopathy, probably.
Pure insanity. I think only somebody with malice in their heart and nothing in their brain could have the lack of thinking to be able to create that.
If I didn't know the answer, I would say hatred, knowing Jonah incompetence.
Well, you know, I mean, lots of things can drive a man to madness, but a foolish surprise cannot fix a mad man.
I don't think the person who made it is okay. I don't think I'm okay after doing that. I think if I were to drink it again, I would need at least a full week to prepare.
Do you have any words for the chef or Jonah or anyone else?
His name is Wilson. He's a cutie patootie.
The chef, the poor chef.
Not really. I mean, it's not the chef's fault. I know we're all about killing him here, but it's not his fault.
Well, you know, it's on days like this where you really just gotta sit back and taste the foolish surprise.
I mean, keep going, I guess, to both of them.
I don't know too much about what you're going to do to try to make this good, but I'm very eager to see it because I don't think I could come anywhere near towards doing that.
I'll make a variant of it again. I never make the same thing twice when I'm not midnight gourmanding. Foolish gourmanding.
So admittedly, I want to stall this interview as much as possible and just throw together this recipe so that I can put that as far behind me as possible. We're only 3 episodes in, and I don't think anything we ever make, even I will ever make for the rest of my life, will surpass that in just how... I don't know the word. Nothing has made me so upset with my choices leading up to this moment. So I think, at least on the plus side, the bar for what I have to be is so incredibly low that I could really just do this with my eyes closed, probably chop off a thumb in the process, and we'd be all set. So I've got that feeling, at least. But I never want to think about that again, and I never want to see Swiss Miss and balsamic in a combo. Happy Friday. So we've rallied, we're alive, we're here, and we're ready to hopefully make this into something that's palatable. So, we're not going to adopt any form factor that we encountered in that previous episode because that would be a critical mistake, and given the fact that everybody was on the verge of throwing up, minus Tom, who's just insane, we are, again, not keeping it a liquid. So we're going to keep all the same ingredients, add a few, and make chicken and waffles out of that. So that's going to be a maple chocolate waffle with fried chicken. Parker's giving me an astounded face with a lemon lime balsamic sauce going over top. And on the side, because honestly, there is no way to add coffee without it just being an addition that would result in a net zero flavor, we're gonna have a nice cup of coffee to adorn it, because chicken waffles is typically a breakfast dish. So, join me, we'll get started improving this on Death of the Chef. Alright, so the first step of this process is to make our lemon lime balsamic reduction, similar to what we did in episode 1 with the strawberries, except this time we're gonna use lemon and lime, obviously. So we're gonna zest and slice up some lemon and limes, add them in the pan, we'll take it over the stovetop, throw in some balsamic, and reduce it for a little while. So, to start, we are actually only going to zest half of this lemon and lime. I'm sure that's the better way to do it. Because the other half we're gonna slice, and we wanna keep the skin on so that when we ultimately use it for garnish, it looks a lot better than just kind of a pale, amorphous mass. And that would not be ideal. So, we're just gonna do that. It's, again, a very rough process. It's not all necessary, but the more you have, the better. And we're gonna be adding a little bit of the juice into the sauce itself, so that's obviously gonna lend a bit of flavor. So whatever you can get out of this is ideal, but if you can't get a whole lot, then it is not in any way, shape, or form the end of the world. And if you can't get the sticker off, then you're just an abject failure and shouldn't be hosting a cooking show like me. And that's a joke, because stickers are hard and life is hard, so don't be defeated by a sticker. So now that this is all zested, we're just gonna take it, you can scoop it up with your knife, don't slice the tip of your finger off, and just throw that into the pan. And then you're gonna take said knife, cut that little section off of your lemons and limes. That'll be used for juice. Be very careful not to slice your fingers off, because that won't taste as good. So anyway, for the zested halves of your lemons and limes, you're just gonna squeeze that rocketed. You are just gonna squeeze the juice into your pan. There's actually a better way to do this than what I just did. So you take one hand and you hold it in the other, and you hold like this. Any seeds that rocket out are just gonna get caught in your hand. And naturally, there aren't any seeds that are falling. Oh, never mind, that didn't work. I lied, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know why I'm the one hosting the show. But anyway, you're gonna take your lime, do the same thing just to convince yourself that you're partially skilled in whatever you're doing. The limes will be much easier. There you go, seeds caught. All right, so now that those are out of the way, I'm gonna set those to the side. And this is a part we need to be very careful, as we are just going to try to very thinly slice some of these lemons and limes. Now that you've avoided slicing your fingers off, there's still a decent amount of lemon and lime, so if you wanna squeeze one of those halves in, you're more than welcome, just to add a bit more of that flavor. I'm going to choose to do so. Again, catch your seeds, throw them out. And then you can take these slices and just throw them in. The idea for these is that they are gonna get reduced with the balsamic, take on a bit of flavor, but hopefully hold a little bit of their color, and they'll look really nice for a garnish. So that concludes our work over here at the stovetop now, or at the counter. So now we're gonna move over to our stovetop. See you over there. So for what will be the topper of our chicken and waffles, we're gonna make a lemon lime balsamic reduction, similar to what we did on episode 1 of Tom's Lament, except this time it's gonna have a slightly more acidic note to cut the richness of the fried chicken and the sweet nature of the waffle. So to start, we're gonna take that lemon lime zest, juice, and slice combo that we just did over there on the counter, take our balsamic, and just kind of go for it. Mine is exiting the bottle incredibly slowly, so this is a longer process than it should be for anybody who has a reasonable nozzle, we'll call it. And that should be enough. Again, your oven is on medium, a little below. Just give it a few cursory mixes, swish it around if you want to feel extra chefy, and then just leave it to reduce as we move back to the counter. So, for the next step of our chicken and waffle amalgam creation is creating the chicken. So we've got just a bowl of boneless, skinless chicken thighs right here, a breading station of flour, salt, pepper, and oddly enough, baking soda. So the interesting thing about the baking soda in this is that when it combines with the chicken, it actually breaks down some of the peptide bonds in the chicken, allowing the chicken to brown faster, get a little crispier, so you'll just end up with a better fried chicken product overall. So once it goes in the flour and baking soda, it's gonna go into our oat milk here, and then back into the flour again to create a binding, solid, crispy crust. That's gonna go into some preheated sunflower oil over here, and then once that's all done, we're going to throw it in a low oven while we finish all of our other work. So you're going to utilize what's called the wet hand, dry hand technique. So that means one hand comes in contact with the dry, one with the wet. If you don't do that, then you end up with these massive, like thimble-sized clumps of breading on your hand, and it's really not an enjoyable experience. So I'm going to take one of the chicken thighs, or maybe we'll do a couple at a time. That one's really small. That, just toss it around, get every facet covered in flour and baking soda and all of the wonderful things that constitute fried chicken that we all know and love oh so dearly, unless you don't, in which case this is all not worth listening or watching. Okay, so we've done that. So now you're gonna take it and you're just gonna let it sit in the milk for just a few seconds. Make sure to press it down, get it covered. Then you're gonna take that back into the flour, drop it down. Again, same process, turn it to coat. Get every part covered. This is really what's gonna help crisp up the chicken, as now it's creating a little more of like a binded crust rather than just some flour that's gonna brown up. So make sure you've got every bit covered as much as possible. So we're just gonna do that, yada, yada, yada. And these are about ready. So I'm gonna take your hand, obviously, take it, and then when you put it in the frying pan, you wanna lower it away from you so that if oil splashes, it doesn't splash up onto you. And that sizzle means that our oil is nice and hot. So we're just gonna do that and wait. All right, so we've got the oven at around 170. The chicken's looking pretty done. It's reached a satisfactory temperature, around like 150, 160, 160. If you really want to make sure that all the bacteria is killed off. So we're gonna take that, put it into a really low oven, about 170, just to keep it warm while we do everything else. All right, chicken's done. Cool. Now we just make waffles. So as the foundation for our chicken and waffles dish, we are obviously going to have to make waffles. Wow, believe it or not, that's a thing that we have to do. Yay. So to start, we're going to incorporate all of our dry ingredients together. So we have about 2 1/4 cups of flour. It's going to go into the bowl here. Like 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. That's going to be one of our leavening agents. So it's going to help make the waffles a little airier and not just a dense mass that's generally disgusting and not appetizing, because we are making relatively decent strides so far, and we want to stand far and away above. I don't even want to think about it ever again, so we're just actually not going to mention it. Then we're going to take our baking soda, similar process as the baking powder. It's also going to help us get some nice browning crispiness on the waffles. So we're going to get about a teaspoon of that. Sprinkle that in. And next up is some salt. About a teaspoon. Again, sprinkled in maybe half a teaspoon. And then, because we have to, and to substitute Swiss Miss, because that's not something that I want to work with again when I'm making food, we're going to use cocoa powder. So cocoa powder is a lot drier than flour, so it's going to absorb more liquid, so you want to be restrained with how you use that. So we're going to start with maybe just a, 3/4 of a tablespoon maybe. Throw that in, and then we can always add more. It's a lot harder to subtract, obviously. So you're going to take your whisk, and you're just going to whisk that together in your dry ingredient bowl to a state of relative homogeneity. It looks like we could maybe add a little bit more cocoa powder, so I'll do maybe a 1/2 tablespoon. So that's probably good. Close that back up, and just whisk some more. Again, you want everything to be evenly incorporated so you don't end up with massive chunks of cocoa powder or baking soda that's not evenly dispersed, or a pocket of salt. That's really just going to ruin the experience of the entire thing. And after consuming Foolish Surprise, you really don't want that. So the next part of this is going to be our liquid base. So we are going to combine 1/4 cup of maple syrup. So that's 4 tablespoons if you don't have a 1/4 cup. We'll say a tablespoon of our vanilla extract. Maybe not a tablespoon. That's a lie. We don't want to do a little less because it's very overpowering. So maybe 2 teaspoons. And then 2 to 3 eggs. We're going to start with 2 if we need more, we've got the extra one to add. That rocketed all over the table, so good luck to whoever gets salmonella. Try to crack this one one-handed. That was a disaster. And then for the next ingredient, uncommon as it is in waffles, we're gonna use seltzer. So interestingly enough about seltzer, that's gonna help preserve some moisture, create a bit more of a crispy exterior on your waffles. If that doesn't work, then forget I said all of this. I don't know what I'm talking about. I researched this at 9 p.m. And then we're also just gonna, again, to preserve moisture, we're gonna use about a 1/4 cup of oil. Put that in. And that's just a neutral flavored canola oil. We're not doing it to add any sort of flavor. It's just to affect the consistency. And then you're gonna whisk that together. Try to beat some of the carbonated foam out of it if that's possible. When we add the dry ingredients, that's obviously gonna dissipate, but foamy waffles is not something that I've given a crack at before, admittedly, so I wouldn't advise it. So once all of that is homogeneous, I think that's our word of the week so far, we are gonna incorporate our dry ingredients. So the key with this is not to overwork it. Overworking it is gonna develop gluten. Gluten is gonna make your waffles tough and chewy. That's not what we want. We want something airy and sort of cakey. So you're gonna add that in, just a little bit. You wanna move fast because you don't want your baking soda to react with all of the acids too quickly. It's okay if your waffle batter is a little lumpy. That's gonna work itself out when it goes in the iron. So again, just whisk until it's pretty, to use it again, homogeneous, and then we'll go over to the waffle iron. All right, so to finish off the waffles, we're gonna take our batter here. We did have to add a bit more flour, a little over a 1/2 cup probably, just to thicken it a bit. We've got a waffle iron that's preheating here, so we're just gonna open it up, take a nice ladle full of the batter, and drop it in. Make sure it's a little evenly dispersed. Clamp it down. In a little bit, you're gonna see steam coming out. Once that steam ceases, or you wanna check it, make sure it's browned, a little crispy on the edges, should be all set. So we're just gonna let it go for a bit, and then we will check it. All right, so the waffle is just about done. Look at that, it's nice brown, solidified, so be very careful. I almost just touched the pan, so don't do what I do in this scenario. Take it out, evacuate it onto a plate with some paper towels, lay it down, and then you repeat. Take a nice ladle full of batter, make sure to evenly spread it throughout your iron, clamp down, wait.
Dude.
Lost where I was. So after a long, arduous process of who even knows how long at this point, maybe 2 hours, it feels like 5, we've made it. We've got chicken and waffles. We did a thing. So it's got all of the core ingredients minus the coffee, which we have a wonderful little espresso here to adorn our typically breakfast food. So I don't have much more to say beyond the fact that we've got some maple cocoa waffles, some delicious fried chicken, and some balsamic lemon lime garnished lemon lime slices to go over top. So I'm gonna try this and then I'll pass it over to the crew. All I'm hoping out of this is that it beats the Foolish Surprise, which I have every hope that it will do. So I'm just gonna get some waffles, some chicken, and a little bit of this lemon lime if I can. If I can. There we go. And then we try it. That was way too much. It's so good though. I don't know if it's just because the last thing I had was Foolish Surprise. or that I'm hungry. But this is outrageously good. You guys can try it now, and maybe I will go drink some coffee. So, how did it taste? How do you feel?
It was really good. I liked it. I would pay for that.
That was delicious. I would have that for dinner tonight.
Really good. I didn't get a lot of chicken, but the flavors were just really well together.
It was very good. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
So, how did it taste? How do you feel?
Well, you know,
You know what? It was genuinely a good dish, and I'm very happy about that.
The Foolish Surprise was abysmal. Felt like I was gonna puke. Wanted to get that out of my system as much as possible. That's the last I seek to ever mention it again. Today and after this day, the Foolish Surprise is dead. We mention it no more. How did your dish? How did that taste? How do you feel? I feel great about mine. I will be the first to admit that the lemon lime was a little acidic. It could have used something else to cut it. But I think the fried chicken turned out really well. That's the best I think I've ever made. The waffles were great, especially considering the fact that I've never used seltzer in waffles before. But the culmination of the whole thing was really good. It was eaten in like a minute by everybody, so can't complain about any of that. And do you have anything to say to Jonah or the chef or any of your crew or anyone else? Jonah, love you, but you're dead to me for like the next weekend maybe. Everybody else, I'm glad that you didn't think that the second thing was disgusting because it would have put into question all of your palates and taste buds. But I'm really grateful for everybody coming and appreciating the food, so I had a lot of fun. So that concludes episode 3 of Death of the Chef. Being the Foolish Surprise, we're really glad that you guys watched, and we will see you next week for episode 4.